This one is called The Beast. There was nothing else by you, your hands moving across the air, your hair waving like a sea that had been long landlocked. I didn't see who sat next to us, in front or on the couch. How could I? My eyes weren't enough to contain you. You picked and chose, but more than to taste, it was to discover. You were teasing the beast, if you were really welcomed as you are. And the beast snorted, but not in fury, just in despair, because, though bare, he still felt to be mistrust. Thank you.
So I've never actually read this out loud before, so we'll see. It's called Before and After. Before we had cell phones with cameras in our pockets, there was only the glistening now, ginkgo leaves yellowing the ground, a crowd of crows in olive branches, each moment fresh. Now everything is recorded. A selfie in a restaurant, each click, 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 and send. Food arranged on a plate. I remember my first camera, the precision of spooling the film in. How it was to wait for the film to develop. The anticipation of picking it up from the drugstore, opening the envelope, a pile of memories flipping through my hands. A whole roll could be weeks of summer. Time was patient, like bulbs of paper whites in jars of water preparing for bloom. Before everything was thrown away, a phone with a cord could last a lifetime. Now a friend says, what does it mean when people say they are throwing something out? Where is out? Before we sent our plastic bags to China, before barges took our litter out to sea, before we knew that the rings around a six-pack of beer would choke the ducks, before weather became disconnected from seasons, before the burning and melting, before we said the words climate denier, climate refugee, climate disaster, before we said the words pandemic, endemic, tridemic. I asked a 98-year-old woman what she thought was the most important invention in her lifetime, and she said, Scotch tape. Suddenly, we could hold things together. Before we had paper clips and Velcro and Ziploc bags, before we watched everything break apart, before our hugs became measured, before Zoom became a way of life, before we began clicking and scrolling and clicking and scrolling emoji this, emoji that. Do you like me? Do you like me? Do you like me? Do you remember me? When time was patient, like a mama robin sitting on her nest, waiting for the delicate necks of the chicks to rise. When we thought we had more time. When we wrote cursive in long, easy lines, put letters into envelopes, eagerly went to the mailbox, hoping to hear back. Before urgency was everywhere. Before we thought we needed to capture everything, before it all disappears.
But I've been thinking a lot about ancestors and relatives because I don't have that many here around me in the Bay Area. So oftentimes I think of my mother and I think of her and I think of my family. So this song I wrote was a dream that I had many years ago. And I think it's relevant today. I think I wrote it in 1994, actually. It's called Night Song. Please, do not forget us. Her voice floated down to me one night in a dream. Her voice had to travel past empty, boarded up buildings, over the buckled broken freeways, across the dark, dirty waters of the bay, and through angry gangs roaming the city before it found me alone in my room. There is still so much to tell you, so much you should know, she said, as I followed, as I followed, as I followed. We gathered together in a lodge. The women and men were dark and soft, and they put their hands up to the fire and said prayers, emitting light from their eyes like I had never seen before. As I did, heat flowed from my hands through my heart, pulling me down into the earth. As I sat with my mother and the women, she said, "Please do not forget us. There is so much more to tell, but so little time." "I will never forget you," I said. "Now I remember. Remember, remember, remember." Heche tuado mi takoyasan. Many blessings to a full circle of relatives. Thank you. This next poem I wrote when I traveled out to Standing Rock to report for, I believe it was Native News Online. And it was a homecoming because it was the first time I got to go back to see and meet my tribal chairman from Crow Creek. And so this was one that I wrote of my feeling about being there. We are our ancestors' wildest dreams. Mniwachoni, water is life. Sacred water used as a weapon. They turned their dogs on us. Chemical weapons, bullets, once again. Still, like a river we flowed until we gathered at Standing Rock. Coming home through generations of displacement, loss of family, land, language, traditions. So many lost. Yet we heard the song and followed the drum by plane, by bus, by car. Some walked, some ran. We are our ancestors' wildest dreams. While campfires burned, coyotes sang as we touched the stars. Morning sun and inipi changes from pink to mauve, purple, then yellow, until furious light shines through smoke from many hearts. Horses roam freely, buffalo visit once again, and children laugh. We are our ancestors' wildest dreams. Thank you. Wado.
Okay. So, A Family Affair. And like I said, I'm probably not the best person with numbers around here, but I try my best. Okay, A Family Affair. And this is, dedicated to, Kimi and Kai and the wonderful relationship that we've been able to carry on throughout the years. Okay. Family is a kaleidoscopic wonder, the whirling symmetry of tribal viewing in cracked and decentralized is cracked and decentralized in scope. Family is still Kimi and our son Kai, my progeny of strength, energizing the bond and support of his beleaguered, loving parents, in spite of a debilitating society of political scoundrels and corporate thieves cashing in our future. Family is a Goyim's journey with my lover and her quirky Sephardic kin that never leave their crosswords unresolved.
The extent of my beloved biological family in a Midwestern viewed from the leftist coast, separated by distance and a semantical firewall where words become swept up and muted by the howling winds in a twister of faith. Family is a beautiful clan of fervent renegade artists maintaining vigilance and vision, whether flashing in pen through syncopated musical soundscapes or across an epic silver screening, issuing a clarion call, begging and answering the question of how life imitates the arts. Family is the staff of KPFA at 70, still showing the struggle for consensus of democracy in flux from one election and fund drive to the next. Family is the green political umbrella offering cover through the raging red and blue storm of political indifference. Family is a ragtag goggle of well-suited and mostly bearded conspirators illuminated the choral landscapes through the timeless eyes of Leonard Cohen. Family is staying close and in support of the kin connected to Joey's beautiful, bombastic, and beatific spirit, arching over and illuminated the trials and tribulations of her daughter, Jessica, and Dave. Family is my tribe of janitors at work, sweeping up the mess of other people's waste and issues. But ultimately, family is all in the here and now that bond together in commonality, growing and branching out of the compost heap of our differences, fears, and doubts, and spreads like a new Ivy League around the wall of the Fourth Reich, long before it has a chance to close us in. We open up our hearts and we watch that wall crumble. Thank you very much.